My name's Michael. I'm the administrator at Wilson's Creek. And I think we've had PPHP in the building since January, so going on 7 months now. And so we have probably about 70 members out of the 135 residents we have in the building. And I think the biggest positive outcome is probably the accessibility that our residents have. We have the nurse case manager in our building or the nurse practitioner in our building daily. And so the residents having that accessibility when they have an issue or they need to be seen, instead of waiting either for a phone call from a physician or a monthly visit or sending them out, that accessibility of them being in the building to go and communicate with the resident and our nurses has made a pretty big impact. And, their quality of care and keeping them out of the hospital and, putting out fires before they really become one. And also, I just think that, the proactive care, prevents, loss of revenue and further costs down the road, whether it be, treating somebody and having to purchase additional wound supplies because we maybe weren't proactive on something. Having those kinds of services available make a kind of financial difference as well. The nurse practitioner wasn't in the building as frequently, and we had, comparable census or enrollees. And so having that nurse practitioner in our building more frequently, as well as having that RN case manager that's there with PPHP, that additional service was a big reason for having them implemented in the facility. The reimbursement aspect of having them on the services almost equates to having an additional 7 or 8 residents in our building. And essentially, we're not doing anything different other than having somebody help us provide better care and be a little bit more proactive. And so that's a big plus. And the residents and families just appreciate the communication, the availability to communicate with the nurse practitioner or the RN case manager. And so the residents always, they'll ask, is so-and-so in the building? Is Michelle in the building? Or is Amy in the building? And so it makes it easier on them, and it makes it easier on our staff because they have someone they can talk to in person. They know where they're located. They go down and get them. They call or text and say, hey, I have a question for you. Are you available? And so the accessibility has been a big, big plus. Yeah, so the communication was a big plus. Being able to have them call as a provider. Families always tend to feel better once they hear from, the provider personally. So whether it be the physician or the nurse practitioner, card games with a resident or something along those lines, just to kind of, help. And, something like that is probably just as important as taking care of them, medically sometimes. And so we're able to keep the residents in the facility and treat them in-house. And so we're not having them go to the hospital. We're not holding a bed for them, and we're not losing out on that revenue of, census.